Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today we are back in Warframe for the second episode of Are Syndicate Weapons Still Good? The series where we test all 3 Syndicate weapons of each and every faction once a week to see which Syndicate has the best weapons. This week we are having a look at the Secura weapons from Perrin sequence, a group of corpus led by Ergoglast who want to resolve conflict around the solar system. Not because they are good people or stuff like that, they just want to make a profit. That's pretty much what corpus always think about. The Secura family includes the Penta, dual Cestra, and Lecta, which is this whip, and these special variants all have unique traits. The Secura Penta and dual Cestra get the sequence trait that, upon gaining enough affinity, triggers an explosion with 25 meters of range that deals radiation damage. It also recovers 25% of your max shields and grants you an additional 50% more shields for 30 seconds. While the Secura Lecta makes enemies drop up to 4 times more credits, this multiplier depends on your mastery rank. It starts at 2x multiplier and upon reaching mastery rank 18, it reaches 4x. And that's all the unique stuff going on for these weapons. As always, if I forgot something, please add it in the comments for everyone else to see. Now moving to the builds for all the Secura weapons, this is what I'm currently using. The Secura Penta is rocking this build, which just adds a lot of damage, and we are making use of napalm grenades. This way, the grenades that this weapon launches will also leave a burning patch on the ground that deals heat damage to all enemies inside its area. It also adds an additional 30 final status chance, and that means it just adds an additional 30 flash status. In fact, if I were to remove this mod, I lose exactly 30% status chance. Our main source of damage will just be heat, and that's why we are also using Rifle Elementalist. We are also adding a bit more heat damage and status chance, and we are making use of Boceration, a Raven that increases our damage, and even Primary Merciless. This way we can maximize our heat damage and also have an even bigger AoE thanks to Prime Firestorm. I am also using more multishot and crit stance because those will apply to the explosion and will also summon more projectiles the moment we fire the weapon. I also recommend some kind of ammo mutation mod because this weapon goes through bullets like it's nothing. Moving to the dual Cestra, this is the build I'm currently using. It's another heat build because we are making use of Cascadia Flare, and I have another Raven on this weapon, which I do recommend because it kind of does need all the stats you can give it because they are not the greater base. It only has 16% critical chance and a 1.6x crit damage multiplier, which is just too low to make use of if you don't have a Raven. Galvanized Crusters and Prime Pistol Gambit to increase crit chance, and also Prime Target Cracker and my Raven to increase critical damage. Galvanized Shot to increase our direct damage on enemies, depending on how many statuses are affecting them. I'm also adding a lot of elemental damage in the form of heat, thanks to Prime Heat Charge and Scorch, and Galvanized Diffusion to increase multi-shot by 110%, and on kill an additional 30% up to 4 stacks. I also recommend keeping steady hands because this weapon has a lot of kick, and this is the only way to fix it. As for the Secura Lecta, it's your usual melee influence build. The only thing I did was adding gas as well because this weapon damage is just not there. It just doesn't deal enough damage to do anything, so the only way to make it do something is just add a lot of gas and summon all those gas clouds that will overlap, and maybe that will eventually kill enemies because yeah, it's just not great. Other than that, it's your usual melee influence build with pretty much all the mods you're used to see. And those were the builds, so let's now see how they perform. Alright, as always we have 20 Corrupted Heavy Gunners level 230 with Tilpat modifiers because these are my test subjects and I do with them whatever I want. So starting with the Secura Penta, this weapon will fire this projectile that you can also detonate mid-air by pressing your Alt Fire button. It's mildly important and you may use this feature like once, but that's pretty much it. Like the moment you hit something with the grenades, they will explode anyway, so it's not really that important, but the weapon's damage is quite alright. And if you actually manage to get a headshot, it gets even better, especially if the grenade itself actually applies heat. And even without having stacked our primary merciless, we are already dealing quite a lot of damage, which will for sure just increase the moment we get to 12 stacks. And overall the weapon performs quite well. I think it's a usable weapon. Since we are also using Vigilante supplies, we can just go around and collect some more ammos, and it's quite a good weapon. I am surprised it's still this good even in 2025, given how old this weapon actually is. But yeah, other than that, pretty good weapon and totally usable even in high-level missions. Now moving to the Secura Dual Cestra, this weapon is just not great. Even with like a lot of crit chance, we are still not dealing enough damage, and even with Cascadia Flare, it just does not deal that much damage. I have tried with Blast as well, not just hit, but actually blast damage. It just does not even allow you to hit headshots. I mean, it's okay, it will kill stuff. It's just not great. It takes way too many bullets. The reload is just overwhelmingly long, and yeah, it just isn't there. It just does not deal enough damage, and I just cannot recommend it because, yeah, this is way too slow for our standards. And although I do like this weapon quite a lot, and with some buffs it can still kill stuff, by itself it's not great. So if you're just starting the game and you want a new pair of pistols, this is definitely not gonna be the one. It's just not great. And last but not least, we have the Secura Lecta, which has that uniqueness of making enemies drop more credits, which somehow also happens in the Simulacrum, which is weird, although those credits will not be added to your account, so don't just stay in Simulacrum like 4 hours trying to grind credits. It's not gonna work. It's just gonna delete all of them the moment you leave. So yeah, that's it. So the way I use it, it's mostly by sliding around, because it does hit the most amount of enemies and it deals quite a lot of damage. But you can pretty clearly see that this weapon is just isn't the best. And the only way to actually make it deal some good damage is grouping up enemies in one way or another and stacking the gas clouds. That is the only way I've found that reliably works, and even then it's just way too slow. And if you want to build it for something else, like just pure slash damage, it can work, it absolutely can, but it's still gonna be way slower than any other melee weapon in the game, so I cannot recommend this weapon. It's just not that great. And yes, by killing those 20 enemies, I got 3000 credits, which is not bad since I don't have a credit booster, but yeah, it's a solid amount of credits, so it's a unique thing it does. And if you need credits, definitely keep using this weapon because it will give you more credits. That's the only use it has. It's just a credit farming tool. Now let's do a quick test by also applying viral onto enemies and also grabbing a roar buff, which will make the experience more interesting, I will say. And yeah, now we are just tearing through enemies. They don't last, well, that long anymore. And the Secura Penta, once again, just probably the best of the trio. Now moving to the Secura Dual Cestra, this weapon will of course perform much better now with Roar and Viral. This makes it actually usable, and I will totally bring this weapon in a mission if I was sure I had access to both Viral and some kind of buff from my Warframe, because it does deal quite a lot of damage this way, and it can for sure shred even high-level targets. And once again, we have the Secura Lecta, which I mean, no surprise, it's gonna perform much better. It's just that even though it's gonna perform much better, it's still a very slow weapon. And the damage you saw is just from our companion. It's not really from the whip. It's just a way to get credits. That's the only thing you use it for. And I'm okay with it because, I mean, that's the only thing people use it for anyways. Tagging enemies so they drop more credits and kill them either by your companion's hand or your own, and that's gonna be your playstyle if you wanna make some more credits. And those are the Secura weapons. All of them aren't really that great, but the Penta is usable, and the Lecta has this very unique mechanic of making enemies drop more credits, which is very interesting. Overall, in terms of damage, these weapons are far behind today's meta, other than the Penta, like the Penta being the only exception, but can still of course be used in any kind of everyday mission run, like relic runs or captures or whatever. Like if you're doing something fast, this weapon will totally be serviceable and you can make use of them. So I give the Secura family 1 good weapon out of 3. This means that in my opinion it is not worth choosing the Perrin sequence as your first Syndicate if your main focus is just pure raw firepower. But if you also consider the sequence effect and the fact that you can make more credits thanks to the Secura Lecta, these become some very niche weapons that you can for sure bring in any kind of scenario. Especially because the sequence effect will regenerate some of your shields and increase their max capacity, which in current days is just the meta, so yeah, it's a very cool thing to have. Very unique weapons, just not that powerful. If you like this series, remember to leave a like. It might seem useless, but it does give me a nice boost for creativity and keeps me motivated to spend all my platinums to buy formas and potatoes for all these weapons. If you're interested in seeing more Warframe content in the future, consider subscribing to the channel. You can also follow me on Twitch for my weekly streams, usually, and join my Discord to receive notifications on all my content drops. And with that said, I wish you a beautiful rest of the day. Thanks for watching, and